the cyme operation, they not only raise commercial corn and soybeans, but they're also growers of seed corn. So what they do to plant their cover crops into the seed corn is use this apparatus here in front of it. In front of us here, it goes on the front end of a Hiniker highboy. They're herd spreaders, and they'll spread their cover crop using this during male destruction. And for those of you that aren't familiar what male destruction is, if you go by a field and you see 4 rows standing and 1 or 2 that's been chopped, that's male destruction. In seed corn production, they destroy the male rows. So this system actually works very, very good in the fact that male destruction usually is done mid-August, things like that, and usually there's irrigation events after that, so we can help germinate this cover crop that way. Noel, anything you want to add?
The Haggy highboy.
Oh, is it? Did I say Hiniker? Whatever.
No, this system's worked good for us. We put 2 seeders on here to increase our capacity as we've tried more diverse mix in our seed corn rotations. We started out doing just mainly turnips and radishes like Dean talked about earlier, and advanced on doing some studies as far as what cover crops are giving us the best growth as far as grazing for cattle and nutrient cycles. So as we've increased the diversity in our cover crop mixes, we needed more capacity. So it tends to work very well. Most of the seed corn plants, female plants that are left at male destruction time are usually around 5 feet tall. We get a lot of sunlight down in there and have tremendous success with the process.
Realistically, when we started interseeding with cover crops, we used those herd spreaders on the front end of the highboy. The first year, I guess we had decent luck, but when we figured up the poundage that we planted out there, it was somewhere around 70 pounds per acre, which is way far out of what we were shooting for. So from there, we transitioned into a redneck system where we took some John Deere insecticide boxes and revamped those to basically drop that behind the fertilizer rig and use some Hiniker rolling shields to kind of incorporate that. The big issue that we had there was calibration with the interseeding mixes. It just didn't hit where we wanted it to, so we used that 1 year, and then from there it went to the iron pile. So with that in mind, Ken and the boys decided to purchase this system that you see behind us here, and as far as I'm concerned, I've been really happy with the results of the emergence of the cover crops and stuff like that has done. So with that, I'll turn it over to Noah, and he can give you some particulars about this.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things we learned with all the things we tried, trying and failing, we were at a cover crop meeting hosted by one of our local seed corn dealers, and we heard a guest speaker ask us, do you guys broadcast your corn or do you plant your corn? And I think that's when it kind of really clicked for us that it was all about getting the seed in the ground at proper depth and proper rate. And so that's what brought along the Hiniker interseeder. This one's set up, we are on 30-inch rows. The 2 row units are spaced 8 inches apart with a double disc opener with a leading disc edge. And it allows us to control our rate, variable rate as we're going through the field as far as increasing speed, slowing down speed, and more accurately control our depth. So we aim to try and plant everything at about 3/4 to an inch of depth as far as when we're interseeding our cover crops.
And I guess I could add to that, the plot area that you seen that we were at and videoed earlier, each one of those plots we calibrated that with this machine, it's actually very, very easy to calibrate. And from there, there's a formula that's plugged into the monitor in the tractor, and for the most part, it's very, very accurate. Which, if you're buying seed, that's important, especially when you get into the more high dollar stuff, as far as the cover crops. So I think they're very happy with that, and me as a person that works for the university and on these experiments and things like that, that's important there too, that we have that kind of precise on what we've got out there, so we can teach and other people can learn by that.
The other really nice thing about this unit is, unlike these herd spreaders, which have very limited capacity, no, you said this 1,800 pound capacity in this box here, so you can go out and plant, kind of depending on the mix, you know, anywhere from probably 70 to 200 acres, depending on what you're doing. So you can cover a lot more ground before you have to stop and fill again.
Yep. And as I was saying before, not to mislead, that we're variable rate seeding, but this is set up with an electric drive and a speed sensor. So as we change speeds, we maintain our proper rate going through the field, versus in the past when we tried to use different systems and tried different things where you're on a fixed rate. And so you need to maintain the exact same ground speed going through the field.
So they could be more precise when they order seed from whoever the vendor is.
And
how fast do you travel through the field?
I was just gonna say, all depending on your ground conditions, a slow speed is 7-8 miles an hour. Where we've got some really nice smooth ground, we've ran 12 mile an hour with it.
Mm-hmm. You can really cover some acres that way.
Yes, you can. You know, it only covers 20 foot at a time, but when you're moving 10 to 12 mile an hour with it, really your only limiting factor is slowing down for the pivot tracks. So it's been a great investment. It's been a great tool. I think it's helped us a long ways as far as becoming a little bit more successful with what we're doing.